You mean the May 23rd, 2016 meeting of the Law Committee? Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, approve the minutes?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, under previous business, resolution number 80, preventing the hiring of former county legislators and the family members of current and former county legislators by the county of Albany. You can table that, press the sponsor. Okay. Number 2, resolution number 81, amending the Albany County Legislative Rules of Order.
You can table that. My understanding is we'll have a new version next month to hopefully consider in the committee.
Okay.
For 2 and 4.
All right, so we're tabling number 2. Number 3, amending the Albany County Charter and adopting the charter proposal of the Albany County Charter Review Commission. Mr. Kraus.
We're going to table that. As you know, that has to be put into a local law format.
Okay.
So we're doing that.
So that's tabled 2. Number 4, resolution number 84, amending the Albany County Legislative Rules of Order. Is that going to be tabled 2? We're still working on that?
As Mr. Higgins said, there's discussions going on about new language. So again, the sponsor in that had asked that it be tabled.
Okay, so that's tabled, request to sponsor 2. Very good. Went right along, number 5, resolution number 127, authorizing 50% of the real property taxes collected by the County of Albany on real property conveyed by the Albany County Land Bank Corporation be remitted to said entity. Mr. Higgins.
You can table that also. Still waiting for the city school district to take a formal vote on it. And,
they haven't done anything on it yet?
well, I talked to the president actually 3 weeks ago about it, 2 weeks ago about it. He said they're going to take it up.
Okay.
So,
School district?
yeah,
I mean,
the city of Albany.
the city?
Yeah, well, the city of Albany School District will, which is the biggest tax.
What about just the city in general?
I don't know who carries this now since they had their elections last year.
Okay, so that's tabled, request to sponsor. All right, under current business, resolution number 220, requiring all boards and commissions that are appointed by the legislature distribute meeting notices and agendas to the legislature. Sponsor, Mr. Drake is here. Want to speak on this, please?
Well, it's fairly straightforward. However, one thing that we failed to include in the resolution is that this is intended to be electronically transmitted so as not to overburden staff and resources.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments on this?
I think.
Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, I think this is a good idea. I actually get a lot of communications from the sewer district and some of the other county agencies and different.
Now, do we know whether any of this stuff is posted online by any of these entities right now?
It certainly, it's rather inclusive and exhaustive for somebody to go to each website on each occasion, but certainly some of them are. I didn't bring a detailed list.
All right.
Of those.
And are there any kind of confidentiality problems with any of these boards, like the Ethics Commission or?
Excuse me.
I can. I actually had taken a look at the ethics, the rules associated with the Ethics Committee. Basically, their meetings would be announced. If they had anything particular that would be subject to redaction or anything, or personal nature, that wouldn't be announced. It would just be generic that there's a meeting going on and they'll consider advisory opinions. So the notice, I think what we're discussing is the notice that the public would get that there is going to be a meeting to the extent that it's available. The notice, details that are available to the public is what's being sought. We're not looking for, a blow-by-blow analysis, and anything that would have to be redacted would be redacted.
And what's gonna
just like normal.
Well, quick question is, I mean, the majority of these boards are probably, all of their minutes are published on their own websites. I mean, what's to say that if this is the direction that the body wants to move in, that we don't create our own calendar with a link with all of the dates so that you can wind up having the month of January, can list out all of the dates.
That'd be great.
And in February, you can wind up having all of the,
Yeah, that would be great.
so that you just wind up having it and just click on it, and it's up to each individual, and I guess who would be the webmaster is the next thing to wind up putting in all of those dates. But once all of the dates are published, instead of having electronic notifications, because then somebody can say, I didn't get this email, I didn't get that email, and you just post the dates on a calendar. So, you know, when you create a calendar, but then you'd have to find out who's going to maintain it and get all of the dates. So that's just a...
Couldn't you add another resolve clause in there to say something like that? Send all the communications to these offices, add the word electronically, and then put another resolve clause in there that says that, you know, the County Office of Information Technology shall create a calendar that's publicly available on the website or something like that. I mean, it's, that way we don't have to deal with it. And the IT department could deal with it. But I think it's a good idea to have some sort of a one-stop shop where you can get all this information. If people are interested in following what the the Land Bank or the Fire Advisory Board or the Cornell Cooperative Extension are doing.
I think that, you know, the gist of what we're trying to propose here, or I'm trying to propose here, is that ultimately, it's incumbent that each individual would have to do an exhaustive search in order to know such and such meeting is happening at such and such a date. They may not know that the Disability Subcommittee meets every third Sunday of every whatever. So the point being, and I think you bring up a good point, which is that we need to set either a central location or a central notification hub. Here, I would suggest that, you know, both caucuses be notified, both conferences be notified, but we could create a central website, and that's why we're here to discuss the best way to do that today.
You mean on our own legislative
Calendar.
website?
Yeah, just a calendar of a legislative, there'll be a link, just speaking outside of my head, legislative boards, appointments and boards, see
Right.
agendas, see, you know, minutes, see dates and times of...
Similar to the way we have an agenda for the legislature in general. You know, you'd have a way of accessing, and then if you had a curiosity as to what's going on, it'd be easy to obtain. Hey, I've got a free Tuesday, I want to get involved, what's going on Tuesday?
And you can wind up checking all of the events on, you know, day by day, and it'll have it. And if they post their agendas, then they can post their agendas or their minutes.
Yeah,
I think this encourages greater involvement by other players in the county to see what's going on and to lend their support.
Well, it's in someone in the town of Colony government or in the village of Altamont needs some information from one of these boards, maybe they could just go right to the county website and find it and more.
And ultimately, we're all better informed.
Table it to...
But couldn't they just go to aren't a lot of these boards, aren't they already publishing things online? Do we know which ones are and aren't doing that?
Well, I think that was asked earlier, and the answer is some of them are. But the idea is to bring things top of mind, so that, you know, each legislator, each employee, et cetera, is able to quickly and easily pull up what's going on. And again, some kind of, the point is notification so that we understand, oh, the Ethics Committee is in this meeting. You know, there's business here that we want to follow, et cetera. And given the exhaustive list of boards and committees that are at hand here, I think on an individual basis, it'd be very difficult to track those.
Well, I don't know. The emails may be a bit tough, but if we're just looking to put like a calendar up, and then everybody knows once a calendar is established that they can utilize the calendar as a reference, but then it's also to wind up making sure that each of these entities wind up getting all of their monthly meetings or quarterly meetings or however often that they meet to the certified. I mean, if you want to table this, and I mean, I have no problem with working with you or Arnis or try to see if there's something that we can do so that it's not going to be, you know, just with an email. I know over the course of years that, you know, somebody will say, oh, I wasn't on an email list, or how do I get added, you know, but if there's like one central, you know, one-stop shopping, so to speak, with everything that's there that you can wind up doing it, we'll wind up seeing the capability and the different things, because right now I believe, and I don't mean to speak out of school, but all of the website information is still done through the IT or the executive side, not the legislative side, so we'll have to be also waiting on the executive in his work whenever they have work staff or flow, and, you know, they could wind up saying that they didn't get to it or it's not a priority, you know, or you don't know kind of if there is an excuse. But if you're willing to kind of hold off on a month, I would see what we can try to do on that.
To expand on your vision, I think a central calendar, each board reports to the calendar, a central calendar that notifies Monday morning, hey, see your calendar. I'm being obviously overly vague, but you know, reminder, calendar's been updated with this week's events, this month's events. It draws attention, the legislators can go, or staff can go, click on it, see what's afoot for the next couple of weeks.
And I think
it
that
accomplishes the same thing without.
the respected staff, you're in the
Yeah.
minority and the majority, can wind up sending out, and they can do a checking on a Monday and kind of give everybody a.
I would just make the I would, it's not my resolution, but I mean, I would just direct the IT department to maintain a calendar on the website, on the homepage, and, you know, have these boards send that information to them, and they'll pump it up. And then when somebody goes to the website, you just look at the calendar.
Because, you know, we want to encourage communication
Yeah.
between these committees, between these boards and the legislature. I would ask that, you know, the IT department send out that weekly reminder, something like that, calendar's been updated. You know, the idea is to encourage this interaction, and I think it's less burdensome to do it that way than by email, it's certainly true.
Patty, would you want?
Just the one thing, I think that the Fire Advisory Board that sends us their report in the mail, I think that's the one that we get, right?
I get sewer district.
Yeah, and I
know
get some
that.
from the
There, get the
Oregon
fire.
Fire thing. Judging just from what they send us, I doubt they have a website, it's kinda,
Yeah, probably, well, many of them don't.
yeah, or to transmit this stuff.
I think that's the volunteer fires, county
Is that what
volunteer
I'm thinking of?
association, I think so, yeah, the white
Yeah.
Yeah,
staple, like 45
yeah.
pages.
45
Yeah.
pages.
Okay, because I was just wondering which ones of these might not have, be able to send it to us, you know, or is somebody gonna have to type them in? The
Well,
minutes?
well, not the, however that they wind up doing, they have to do their own minutes, I'm sure, for their own organization. They have to do their own agendas. We wouldn't be doing that for
Right.
them. But they could wind up sending it to us if they wanted to host it, seeing as we do wind up appointing their representatives to the boards. But they would also have their schedule. Most organizations, you know, they have a set schedule that they meet on the third Monday at
Yeah.
3 o'clock, or that they have certain things. I've seen people be appointed to boards. I haven't been appointed to one, so I don't know the dates and the times
Right.
that they all work at. But if there was one centralized calendar,
I
if
think
everybody's
the
trying
calendar's
to get to, then we can kind of, you know, work in that general direction to make sure that all the information, because some of them, you're right, Patty, may not have the email capability or a website.
Yeah.
And it would also be a good thing for a lot of these various organizations to kind of get out there if they so choose, where people can either sponsor, be a part of, they can broaden their base, because it's going to be on a more focal one focal point. So if you're willing, we can exchange contact info and try to work on that over the course of the next next month.
I mean, I think the concept's great.
Brian?
I don't want to belabor it.
Totally agree, just one caution, just remember it took 2 Rezos in 4 years before IT finally started to webcast our meetings, so,
And that's because it's also controlled by
yes.
a different branch of government, is why I said that,
I think that was a good
not to
point.
wind up getting, you know, our hopes up, because it may not be a pressing issue for them.
Right.
Because if you look at the county page and then where the legislative page is, I'm still trying to figure out how to navigate through that, as opposed to just Googling Albany County
And
Legislature.
we may want to find a way to do it between our 2 offices ourselves.
That's true.
And on that point, we have had some discussions between the 2 offices, and also actually to what Patty's saying. Some of these things could be, the XYZ board, and it could be a link to the minutes, which could be scanned by one office or the other. So it's not necessarily that they have to send it to us by email. So I think, again, if this is being tabled for further discussions, I think we could figure it out, whether it be at the legislative side of the table or the IT side, but I think it can be figured out.
So,
It's a good idea, Todd.
table it, what's the
Table it
sponsor?
to sort that out.
Okay. There's nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
What's your cell?
8-5.